Want awesome products? Want customization? Give Positive Perception a shout. Towels, beanies, snoods and more, anything's possible. Everything's custom. Stand out, be different, get yours.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 6th and final round of Season 2 GT4 on Simsport Racing, being held at the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. Good evening, it's Alex Goldschmidt and Steve Proudley once again here with you. And Steve, we're now, this is now 7 weeks. Obviously, we had a break, obviously, with the 12-hour Nürburgring. It looked like the virtual 3 hours of Silverstone. A big thank you to Jensen Team Rocket, the VRRC, and MSL Motorsport Consultancy for helping us with that. But nothing's decided quite yet this evening. The titles are up for grabs, and it's looking like it's going to be a rather interesting race here in California, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Laguna Seca is an awesome track. It's a very unpredictable track. It's a track that invites mistakes, and the drivers who push that a little bit too hard can soon find that they're over the limits, as it were, and into the kitty litter. So the Drivers' Championship is still to decide. The Team Championship is still to decide. So everything's on the table and everything's out there to win this evening. So I expect to see some hard-fought and close battles tonight.
Well, don't forget, if you want to be part of the community, head to simsport-racing.com. Sorry, I had a bit of a Freudian slip there. It must be a sign of old age coming in there from my side of things here. But Steve, we've got an interesting development for this final round, haven't we?
We have indeed, and the development we're going to talk about very briefly, just so he can get back to his car, is we have a sponsor for the final round, and that is a gentleman called Mark Raddenbury, who is a member of the Simsport community and has been for quite a while now, and he's chosen to sponsor the final round with his company Positive Perception. So if I can just introduce Mark. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, one and all. Thanks for having me.
No, pleasure, buddy, and thank you for putting your faith in Simsport and sponsoring the stream this evening. It's very much appreciated. If you want to just, tell us a little bit about your company. Obviously, we've just seen the little video there, but if you can, enlighten us a little bit more to what you do and what you can supply.
So, yeah, my company is Positive Perception. It's my own business. I actually have two, technically. Positive Perception as a whole is a social media and web management company catering for small businesses all over Gloucestershire, mainly Monmouthshire, the local area to where I am. My side branch to that is PosPer Products, where I create custom, bespoke, handmade, hand-stitched, awesome little products. Everything is possible. Everything's custom.
Great stuff. So it sounds like it keeps you very busy.
Just a tad.
Good. Good. And where can everybody find you? Internet, Facebook, usual sort of things?
So they can find Positive Perception all over Facebook. You can find PosPer Products all over Facebook, as any good social media company should be. And on the website, positiveperception.co.uk. And special offer for anyone listening, 15% off if you send me the code SIMSPORT75.
Brilliant stuff, Mark. And just to add to the sponsorship this evening, I know that our website, we will have a link to your website on our website as well as part of the sponsorship deal. So, Mark, what are you expecting from the race, just very quickly before you go jump back in the cockpit of your car?
It's wet. It's going to be horrendous. I'm just hoping for a clean turn one.
And you are in pole position. Is that right?
Thanks for that. Yes, I am.
Yep, absolutely, mate. Right, well, you go jump back in that car, buddy, and have a good one. The best of luck. So, straight from the horse's mouth there, that's the pole sitter, Mark Raddenbury, sponsoring the stream tonight, and hopefully he can get from pole position through the first corner cleanly and make some headway. But I think it's going to be a tough battle tonight, Alex.
Definitely. Let's have a look at the starting grid for the season finale. So it's Mark Raddenbury in the number 75. That was a bit of a cheeky plug of his race number, wasn't it? On Perception, 75 there on the special offer. So if you want to get it, you better get it whilst it's hot. Richard Pixley alongside in the Ginetta. Then you've got Mark Neutings and Niall Schlitter in the Mercedes and BMW on row 2. Emery and Isilovic row 3. Looks like you've got Ambro and Passpont, Mitchell and Martin rounding out the top 10. Then HF Impala A have a 13-point lead going into the season finale for the Teams Championship ahead of Simply Race. Mercado Racing on 108 points. Stephen Haley is just 5 points ahead of Daniel Jim. So it's the battle of the Aston Martins. And think of it this way, Steve. You know, you've got Tim Fulbrook and Michael Haffenden. They're rounding out top 4 in the 2 HF Impala A BMWs. They've been pretty impressive this season. But with Mark saying that it is wet and he's hoping for a clean first turn into the Andretti hairpin, and it is absolutely torrential. The spray rooster tails in the air. 45 minutes of racing here at Laguna Seca. And if I'm completely honest here, Steve, this is going to be an absolute slobber knocker, isn't it?
It's almost as if we planned it. Look at that. It's absolutely awesome. And from where I'm sitting, that's
don't worry.
I mean, to be fair though, just on that championship battle, Stephen Haley leading by 5 points. If Daniel Jim finishes in the top, he's finishing in the top 3. That is a 6-point gain on Steve Haley. So if Daniel Jim is in first, second, or third, Steve Haley has to beat him, even though he's got that 5-point lead, obviously. Also, there's a point for the fastest lap, so that could come into it as well. So there's a few different angles. Steve Haley cannot rest on that 5-point lead. He's going to have to keep a very close eye on Daniel Jim. The team championship, the hot news is that Michael Haffenden isn't racing this evening, so Tim Fulbrook is taking this battle on his own for the team honours.
Yeah, the lone wolf in the HF Impala A crew really needing to get a wriggle on, and you know, at the end of the day, he's starting 15th. Aaron Walker's starting 14th. Daniel Jim, you see, is like 17th place. So yeah, it's going to be a tall order for Tim Fulbrook. But now it looks like they're coming around the final corner. So they push the accelerators to the floor here at Laguna Seca for the final round of Season 2 for GT4. Do we go green? Yes, we do. And it's a great start by Raddenbury at the front of the field. Pixley, I think, is being caught by Mark Neuslings as they go down towards the Andretti hairpin for the first time. And there is one already taking out some of the marker boards as Richard Emery getting stuck in. Adam Isalovic not too far behind. Ranjith Kelsey, Andrew Ambrose, Stin Passpont, Regan Mitchell, and there's a few drivers. It's looking like everyone's just managing to tippy-toey so far, but it looks like Ranbury is going to lose the lead very quickly, and that is to Richard Pixley in the number 7 Ginetta. So a good start from him, and then you've got, looks like Mark Neusling's just behind in the 666 Mercedes. Now this is where it's going to get really interesting, Steve, because when you have to tackle the corkscrew in the dry, it's fearsome enough. But in the rain, it's a completely different proposition altogether.
Yeah, especially on these opening laps, they will just be feeling for the grip. I mean, obviously, every corner it will just be pushing it, and you know, lap on lap, they'll just push a little bit harder. And it'll be the ones that are brave but not stupid that will benefit in these first few laps. As you know, it's just looks torrential out there, and the track grip is going to be minimal as they're just going through the corkscrew now for the first time, as we suspected, just tiptoeing through there, but getting through fairly clean by the looks of it.
Good move here by Mark Raddenbury to keep ahead of Adam Isalovic as they now head towards the final couple of corners here at Laguna Seca. And Isalovic going round the outside of the number 75 Audi. That's brave, but it gives Isalovic the run coming out of the corner, then into the left-hander, which is going to put them on the start-finish straight to complete lap number 1. So at the moment is Pixley leading from Neuselings. Isalovic, it looks like Emery is trying to close in as well. So Andrew Ambro has had a really good start in the Aston Martin as well. There's a bit of a barging fest there between door panels of both Emery and Kelsey. I think Richard Emery came off worse than that one as Mark Raddenbury outbrakes himself into the Andretti hairpin. That allows Kelsey to get past, and here's Steve Haley. Raddenbury off the track, and everyone's just slingshotting past the number 75.
Yeah, it's looking like Haley's had his dream start really to the race. He's up into 9th as we're going back to a replay now. I believe this is the start of the first corner.
Yeah, I think Tim Fulbrook's actually a little bit further down the order. He's actually down in 14th at the moment. This is 2x2, hurrah. And he gets a tag from behind, and that was from Steve Haley. Aaron Walker had a bit of a tank slapper, and that's the brightest Mercedes I think we have on the grid. Can't remember the name of that particular driver. It escapes me. But yeah, I mean, Tim Fulbrook, he's managed to start clawing back. But Steve Haley already looking to surge towards the front of the field. And yeah, Kieran Vidago said he was just joking. I'm sure, Kieran, you need to get your backside back in for season 3 if that ever happens. But Andrew Ambro now fending off Steve Haley in the same machinery. So Andrew Ambro, we haven't really talked much about him so far this season, number 31. But to fend off Steve Haley in the initial sort of few moments. Now, you remember Charlie Crossland? He's back and he's now up to 9th. There's now, tag from behind. Charlie Crossland tags Andrew Ambro, spins the 31 out of the final corner, and he's got to wait until everyone gets past. And Aaron Walker, I think, has just gone through in 18th position. So yeah, real shame there for Andrew Ambro.
The hot news, Alex, is at the moment it's showing that Daniel Jim is in the pits as well, so it's looking like he's decided to retire the car after lap 1. Not quite sure what happened to him, didn't see anything too untoward. He was a couple of cars back from Haley in the first lap, but he's now parked in the pits in last place.
I think I did see him go off the circuit actually through, I think it was turn 3. I don't know if we might be able to get a replay of that, but I definitely did saw him go off the circuit. So that's a real and Daniel's just put on the YouTube chat, he said, I have seen very, very ugly things. That sounds ominous, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the wet track, the spray, everything, and it's obviously coming to dark. The server time was 8 p.m. for the start. We're looking at 8:30 now, so it's going to get darker and darker. It's going to get difficult. But yeah, it'd be nice to see a replay if there is possibly one to see. But onwards and upwards as Pixley's out in the lead with Knightlings in second, Isilovic in third, Muller fourth, Kelsey fifth, Haley now in sixth, Richard Emery looking at now in seventh, and Charlie Crossland trying to go around the outside of him. And I say try, and it looks like he's managed it, to be honest. That's an awesome move.
Yeah, he's got the inside run for the next corner, and up the inside goes the Team Fordzilla driver in the KTM Crossbow, the number 67. Remember his performance at Mount Panorama, 23rd to 3rd, so we know the capability of this driver. So it's going to be rather interesting what will happen over the next few moments or so. But Stephen Haley at the moment, Steve, has set the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 36.333, and he's trying to close on, I believe that's Yannick Muller just up in front, is that correct?
I believe so. I'm having a technical difficulty at the minute. I seem to have lost the stream, but I'm watching. I've got the timing screens. But yeah, Steve putting the fastest lap on his last lap, and it was over a full second faster than Muller, who was in front of him.
Yeah. So at the moment, okay. So Pixley, Pixley looking to keep ahead at the minute in the number 7 Ginetta, and he's just under 7.5 tenths ahead of Mark Neuslings, who is actually closing. Mark Neuslings was nearly 2 tenths of a second quicker on that last lap there. So 1:37.8 from Mark Neuslings, so 1:38.0 from Richard Pixley. So the gap is getting closer. So Mark Neuslings looking to get an opportunity to close in possibly for what could be a race victory on the cards. So here's a replay. Now there is Daniel Jim. Yeah, so Daniel Jim, he gets past Mark Ranbury, and goes between one of the other cars, and he just absolutely banzai. Now that was a bit of an outbrake manoeuvre, if I'm honest here, Steve. Just from my personal opinion, I think he just locked up on the brakes. It just skidded along, and then all of a sudden it's careered into Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously we can only say from our opinion on this one, and yeah, from my opinion, I don't think anybody else did anything wrong there. I think the conditions possibly caught Daniel Jim out, and he was somewhere where he possibly shouldn't have been. But yeah, the stewards will take a look at it if there's a complaint, and you know, it's just a real shame that the championship's been decided in that way.
However, we still have 37 minutes and 54 seconds of this race, which will go into the night. So let's have a look at this replay here. Now, this is on board with Daniel Jim again. So we've got a driver's eye view. I think he's just tried to send it up the inside. Aaron Walker was actually turning in, and he was actually fractionally further ahead than Daniel Jim there, because that gap was rather closing pretty quickly there, Steve.
Yeah, he wasn't even alongside Aaron Walker when Aaron Walker was turning in. He was overtaking the car behind Aaron. but obviously couldn't get it slowed up fast enough. But again, it's all down to our opinion at the moment, and the stewards will look at it at slower speeds and many angles. But like I say, a real shame. But look at the light now is really going. The headlights are blazing. The rain's not easing up. Looking at Tim Fulbrook down in 12th, unfortunately, that's not enough for him to do enough for the team battle at the moment. It's looking very much like a Simply Race victory for the teams and a victory for the Simply Race driver of Steve Haley in the driver's standings. Obviously a long way to go, but his rival is out of the race now, so he just needs to keep it clean and pass the checkered flag.
Yep, and he's just over 1.4 seconds off of Adam Isalovic at the moment, so looks like, no, he's actually brought that gap down to just over half a second. So Steve Haley absolutely flying, and what's more, Steve, he's put in a 1:35.958 on that last lap alone. Haley is absolutely on a charge here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember my foray out into the in season 1 at Laguna when it was raining, and it was Steve Haley that was the man on the move in the wet conditions in that race in the Aston Martin as well. So he certainly knows the track in the wet conditions, and he's certainly putting that to good use, as we're seeing. This is Neutlings and is it Muller?
Yeah, Yannick Muller in the 143 Audi really does know where to pick his spots, and he's just got past Neutlings. And that was before the approach to the corkscrew, and now he's going to go hammer and tongs after Pixley, and Pixley is just under 0.3 of a second up the road, but it's even more fearsome. I've mentioned about how fearsome the corkscrew is twice in 2 successive sentences, but here's a third time. Try doing it in the dark of night, and the headlights are the only thing that are guiding you.
Yeah, headlights, and it's all too easily sometimes as well in the darkness to follow the tail lights of the car in front, even if he's not on the right line. So you've got that to contend with as well. But just look at the visibility now. It's very poor when you're right up behind the car, as Kelty is behind Isalovic, and it's a challenge for these lads to keep it clean and to keep it close and fair. And that we've seen a little bit of contact already this evening, but it's the conditions that don't help.
Yeah, very true. As we're on board with Ranjit Kelsey in the number 47 Porsche. The spray from the back rear tyres of Adam Isalovic's 111 Mercedes, and just on the inside you can see how slightly bumpy it is as well, as Yannick Muller looked up the inside there of Richard Pixley as we go on board the front bumper cam of the Audi R8 GT4, the number 143. Yannick Muller has actually been quite a surprise this season, wouldn't you agree, Steve?
Yeah, he's reasonably new to the group, and he's certainly finding his feet, and he knows how to drive that Audi. He's a second and a half faster than Pixley on his best lap. That's the difference between these guys. But catching and passing is 2 different things. Richard Pixley's no slouch. He's in the Ginetta, he's pushing, look at that, right off the edge of the track there, using every single inch and a little bit more. But Richard Pixley's not going to make it easy for him to pass. He just needs to keep hitting the braking points, not sort of cave under the pressure, as it were. Just drive those lines and not over defend. Just try and drive his own line, and it should be okay. It should turn into a good race between these two.
Yeah, I think Kieran Vidago, Richard Pixley actually heard you there, because he just said in the YouTube chat, make that Ginetta as wide as possible, and that's what he's doing. Is now Steve Haley closing in on Charlie Crossland in the KTM Crossbow, the sole KTM Crossbow in the 67. As a little bit of a mistake there from Crossland, and that's going to allow Haley to go side by side down the straightaway. This is for actual 4th position. Haley gets a nose ahead just in front of the line by 25 thousandths of a second, as Pixley gets the gap between himself and Muller, as Crossland trying to banzai around the outside in the KTM. And in some respects, I can understand with the driving style, it's a bit like karting in some respects, that you try and take a wider line and you try to cut back in, but it doesn't work all the time, especially in these torrential wet weather conditions in the Salinas area of California here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Just over 32 minutes and 45 seconds of the season finale still to go, but Haley is pretty much romping away with it at the moment.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, Crossland's got back past him, but, Haley doesn't need to get involved in that battle. He just needs to pass the checkered flag. He's got the points lead he needs. He just needs to pass the flag, and it's his. So to get tangled up in a battle with Crossland would probably be the wrong thing to do. And that KTM is absolutely hot on the brakes. It's really good in the braking zone, as when we saw Charlie try to send it round the outside. And Charlie has got a very aggressive driving style, so it's probably best that Steve just lets him go and just, consolidates where he is in 5th place. That's enough for him.
Yeah, I think I've just seen one of the Audis. That wasn't Richard Emery. It might have been Mark Ranbury that went sort of shortcutting, I think, just coming off of the corkscrew as we go on board with the number 69 Mercedes of Regan Mitchell, closing in on Richard Emery in the 115 Audi R8 GT4. They're going to come through the final corner. Not easy when you're trying to put down the power, especially when turn 11 here, Steve, is the slowest part on the circuit pretty much.
Yeah, there's not a lot of traction out there as well when you're coming out the slow corners, and it's looking like Muller's now got into the lead, obviously past Pixley, and he's to half a second to the good now, as we're seeing Haley as coming under attack from Isilovic. Or is that Neutlings that he's trying to pass? Sorry, it's just really bad visibility.
No, it looks like he's got past Neutlings. Neutlings is behind, and then it's Isilovic.
Yes, carrying on.
Steve Haley nearly dropped it just then. He was so lucky. He got away with that one. I think he's like the cat with 9 lives at the moment here at Laguna Seca, as now the server time reads 9:05 local time on the server, as Richard Emery has been passed by Regan Mitchell for P7, and just behind Ranjiv Kautsi in the 47 Porsche.
Yeah, we've seen Ranjiv have some good performances this season in the Porsche. It's a little bit hit and miss. Some tracks he likes, some he doesn't, and he does well at the ones obviously he likes. So he's not doing bad tonight. But Regan Mitchell is certainly somebody who comes alive, and he's a good driver. Started off fairly well down the grid, and he's just making steady progress now and up into 7th place. So he's looking good for a solid finish this evening.
Well, in the meantime, looks like Yannick Müller has got the lead of the race, and he's opened up a gap of 1.9 seconds over Richard Pixley. And good to see Cameron Fife getting involved on the chat, saying, I'd love Pixley to get this done. Not the best car on the grid, leading the pack. Awesome job. Well, we are fast approaching the first third of this 45-minute race, and Charlie Crossland now has set the fastest lap of anybody, 1 minute 35.811, and round at a circuit like this, that is Pixley. He's going to slingshot past. Pixley runs a little bit wide. Crossland to the outside, Pixley back up the inside, but Crossland keeping it pinned, and I think he's got the job done. He has. That's a brilliant move there from Charlie Crossland. Really, really stand out in these dark, inclemental conditions. Well, actually, I'll say torrential wet weather here at Laguna Seca. That's a brilliant move there from Charlie Crossland.
Yeah, absolutely awesome.
Sorry, Charlie Crossland. Yes, I did say. I keep on getting confused sometimes when Charlie Crossland and Chris Crossman are on the same grid. So, Chris, my apologies there, buddy.
Yeah, we've got Chris Crossman in the chat tonight. So, hi, Chris. I hope you're good, man. And we've got Charlie Crossland doing it on the track in the KTM. He's pushing hard, and he's up to second, 2.8 seconds off Muller in the lead. So it'll be interesting to see if he can get that KTM up to Muller. He is lapping faster, albeit only by a couple of tenths. So it's going to take him a few laps to catch, barring any mistakes. But just going back to people like Regan Mitchell in 7th, because his rival in the championship is Angus Martin, who's down in 20th. If Regan finishes where he is now, he's going to go up a position in the championship, which means he will go up to 5th in the championship. So, good solid finish from him and a good championship position.
Yep, as we now go on board with Steve Haley, who has Richard Pixley in the crosshairs here at Laguna Seca. They're going to make their way down towards the Andretti hairpin. Haley, I think, just sort of using discretion as the better part of valour here, but Pixley runs a little bit wide. Haley takes as much curve as is humanly possible without exceeding track limits there. But Pixley still on the inside for the very next right-hander. Great duel between these two. I mean, Pixley I've really been impressed with, but Haley trying to get the inside run for the next corner with the Aston Martin. Get it? Not quite, because Pixley was over a car length ahead. Now, this is where the Aston Martin strength really comes in, the power of the V8 engine, but Pixley still to the inside for the left-hander. This is absolutely fantastic dueling here as we're going to start the ascent up the hill under the VP Racing Fuels bridge, and then it'll be the next left-hander which will take you onto the Rahal Straight. And what a job there by Richard Pixley, again going ultra defensive in the Ginetta.
Yeah, he's driving really well. He's putting it where he needs to, and he's not giving up. You know, Steve keeps showing the nose on the inside and forcing Pixley to take maybe a slightly wider line sometimes in the corners. But Pixley's not, he's not giving in. He's not succumbing to the pressure, and he's driving the line he really wants to, and he's getting the drive out of the corners more importantly as well, and he's keeping that Aston Martin behind him. So he's doing an awesome job in the conditions. He's just running wide there. He's really trying. He's going to probably. He's doing the right thing. He's not even going defensive there because he realises that Steve's not going to chuck it up the inside. He can take his normal line, take the normal, and it's the quickest line. So why wouldn't you?
Yeah. So we're on to lap number 12 of the race, and we're on board. Great camera shot here from Mike Yao, our broadcast director who's from Simply Race. A big thank you to him for the great coverage, as always, here on the GT4 and the GT3 championships that we do here at simsport-racing.com, the place to race. But yeah, I mean, Pixley really still, I can completely understand. I mean, what Steve's going to do here is that he's just going to wait and see if Richard does make an unforced error. And when you factor in wet weather conditions here, Steve, that's where it can really go a bit Pete Tong.
Yeah, it's all that a little bit easier to force someone into a mistake, and that's what we keep seeing Steve trying to do. Look, he's just showing his nose. He's trying to show Pixley's there, and obviously in the darkness, the headlights are more of a distraction as well. So it's raining, it's dark, the headlights, and the fact that he's got the championship leader up behind him now, and they're battling for that last step on the podium. It doesn't get much more pressure for Pixley, but he's handling it really well. It has to be said. He's been a good driver all season, and he's had some unfortunate contact from other drivers. So I'd like to see him on the podium tonight if possible, and it would be a great result for him.
Yeah, I mean, they're, They're just over 4.5 seconds behind Charlie Crossland in the KTM Crossbow. As now Steve Haley, I think, has got the opportunity he needs, or does he? No, not quite. But
no,
Pixley
got a little bit wide and squirrely, didn't he, coming out of that last corner, and it just nearly gave Steve the opportunity to look up the inside, but it's looking like he's going to try and maybe show his nose into the braking zone at T1. But Pixley's doing his best, he's doing his utmost not to, but I think he's got down the inside, so if Steve can get that stopped and turn now, which he's shown us previously he can, and indeed he has, and he's got that move done now, I don't think Pixley's going to recover from that one.
I think Pixley definitely had a set of stones there to try and keep Steve Haley at bay, and I think that was definitely one of the squeaky bum moments of the season at the moment from my aspect as a commentator. Mark Raddenbury we're on board with now in the number 75 Audi, currently running in 15th position ahead of Dave Hedges. Stin Paspon, Andrew Ambro, Colin Dunn and Angus Martin round out the top 20. But one of the biggest things that I've noticed here, obviously, we've been talking a lot about the driver's title here, Steve, but then the team's title, that's another factor that we've got to look at. Tim Fulbrook being the lone wolf, no assist from Michael Haffenden, unfortunately, because he's not able to make it this evening. But I have to give the HF Impala A guys credit that they have really, really shown their mettle. They came on board for season 1, tried the Ginettas, then came back for season 2, switched to the BMs, and it's really been a car that has played to their strengths.
Yeah, they're great lads. I mean, obviously we all talk on Discord and we've had conversations with them, and I was talking to Tim last night, and it was just he just said it was they enjoy the racing so much. It doesn't matter what car they're in. They knew the Ginetta wasn't the most competitive last season, but they had good fun, and that's what it's all about for these guys. As we've seen someone off backwards onto the gravel there, I'm not quite sure who that was. Maybe was it Rich Smith? Maybe. But yeah, they enjoy the racing, and they're enjoying the racing tonight. It's just a shame that Mr. Haffenden has to spend the week at Spa, 24 hours this week, and he couldn't join us to race. I'm not quite sure which one I'd have chosen. I think I might have come here to race, to be fair. But Tim said he was going to do his best. He knew it was a tall order, and unfortunately, the finishing positions as they are as well, it would mean that Simply Race are going to win the team championship at the first time of asking for them.
And it's also the first time that we've run a team championship in GT4s. Kieran Vidago, you definitely need to get back in this, mate. Come on. Next time. Make sure it happens. We want you back, buddy.
Yeah, we know Kieran is definitely a sort of top 10, if not a top 6 contender when he's at the wheel of a GT4, especially the Mercedes. He's pretty good in that. So yeah, it'd be good to see Kieran back.
So just over 22 and a half minutes remaining. We're still with Tim Fulbrook, who is running now in 10th place, and the lead between Yannick Müller and Charlie Crossland has dropped all the way down to just over 0.6 of a second. Stim Passport in the 444 Ginetta. And here we are with Charlie Crossland. Last time around, he set the fastest lap of the race. He's going to try and go for the lead. Now, the Audi's going to have the grunt on the straights, but we know that the KTM is pretty epic through the twisty stuff. And 2 laps ago, he set the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 35.733. And now he's running the back bumper of Yannick Müller going through the Andretti hairpin. This is going to really, really tell an interesting story towards the end of Season 2 of GT4 here on Simsport Racing.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Charlie attacks Yannick Müller now, because obviously, you know, he's quicker, but being quicker and catching is two different, and passing is two different things completely. You know, he's done the hard work of catching, and now the even harder work of passing comes in. As long as Yannick doesn't make any mistakes, we know how good that KTM is on the brakes. As we saw a few laps ago, as he tried to send it round the outside. They are coming up to lap some traffic now as well, so I see Muller's already flashing the lights, trying to make them aware that they're coming. But it's going to be difficult for Crossland, and I just hope he keeps his head and they don't have any contact at all. It's you know, let's keep it a clean race.
Yeah, very true. As Yannick Müller takes a little bit of curb and then some, as they head down towards the far part of the circuit. I think they've just gone through Rainey's, and it is very rainy here at Laguna Seca. Sorry, just had to get that in there. But yeah, I mean, still about half a second. But look, on the brakes, Charlie Crossland is a lot, because he's got Müller as a marker post now. Effectively, that's his sort of way in which he can sort of gauge what Müller is going to do next of all. And I kind of agree with what Chris Crossman has just said in the YouTube chat. Saying that I think Charlie will take him on track, but pretty certain he might have a penalty coming his way. Well, obviously, the penalty we leave to the stewards. As now Charlie Crossland, has he got the job done on Yannick Müller?
He's spun, he's off. So this is Haley's chance to catch him back up as well now, as we see Haley there taking that position. So yeah, Haley up into second place now, so Crossland has got it all to do again.
Well, also, Steve Haley is just 4.8 seconds behind, and that is Mark Raddenbury, I believe, there in the number 75 Audi that Charlie Crossland has just passed. So Mark Raddenbury down in 15th position, 16th position. So Steve Haley, we know how quick he is, and obviously, you know, in the Aston Martin, he's done a really, really good job so far. But yeah, I think it's safe to say that Charlie Crossland has got a substantial amount of work to do as he makes his way through the corkscrew. As Steve Haley is now on his way through Rainey's, through towards the right-hander at turn 10, and the left at 11. As now Gavin Utley is trying to go door-to-door with Adam Misailovic going through into the corkscrew. Did that just happen? One of the cars has gone spiralling off.
Two of them,
and that is the pair of them.
Tim
Fulbrook has now gained 2 places up to 7th position, because Adam Misailovic and Gavin Utley banged at each other's door like a pair of petulant children battling over a swing in the playground, and they both came off badly.
Yeah, absolutely. But attention back to the front, and Steve Haley is now only 3.5 seconds off Müller, and he is lapping over half a second a lap faster, 0.6 on the last lap. So he's closing the gap. I mean, like, as I keep saying, he doesn't need to, but Steve's a racer. He's got his head down. He's putting the laps in. Maybe he will take the title on the top step of the podium.
Well, we've got 18 minutes and 20 seconds to find that out, and with I mean, looking at the times, Yannick Müller did a 1:35.997, Steve Haley a 1:35.865. So Haley, you know, any racing driver, whether it be real life or virtual, will want to, if they're going to secure a title, they want to do it in the most emphatic way possible. And Steve Haley would love to do nothing more than just take the victory and secured both the drivers and the team titles for him and also for Simply Racers. Now we're going to see what happens. Now Utley goes towards the outside of Isalovic, and Isalovic, I don't know whether he saw him.
No,
that was just the slight.
Didn't even know he was there, did he? He just took his more or less his usual line and just tapped the front end of Gavin. Neither of them were going to be turning left at that point. They were both going off to the right.
Possible racing incident, I think, there, if I'm honest with you, but that's down to the stewards to decide. But Steve Haley now has got the gap down to just over 3.1 seconds. Let's just see now. Could change. 2.746, and he's put in the fastest lap of a 1:35.721 with just over 17 minutes on the clock. As you said, Steve, Mr. Haley, he is a racer.
He's on the charge, and with that fastest lap, he took another 8/10 out of Muller's lead. Charlie Croston's last lap was a 36.7, so he was a full second slower than Haley and slower than Muller as well. So he's not gaining on the guys now. He's going to need to really recompose himself and get his head down if he does want to challenge for second or even first place.
This is just a replay. Yeah, this is just a replay we've seen of Isalovic and Utley, and Isalovic's right front smacks into the barriers as a result of that contact. So yeah, I think that was just a case that Adam didn't know that Gavin was there, and they both went spiralling off the track, and it looked like Adam's front end is a little bit worse off.
Yeah, absolutely. It picked up a lot of damage from that, I would imagine, and obviously as if he didn't need it, but in these conditions it's not going to help his handling at all. Obviously it's very, very treacherous out there, and very, very difficult this evening, as we see that the gap now for Haley and Muller, it's absolutely visible. Haley will be seeing the tail end of Muller through the corners, so that will inspire him on and just sort of drag him on to go that little bit faster in the Aston.
I'm waiting for these fastest lap times from Steve Haley to double again. I think he must be having more accelerated heart rates than anybody else on the grid at the moment, because what you don't do coming out of turn 10 is go a little bit further off the curves and the back end steps out, because that was very, very, very close to Steve Haley actually. Dave Hedges even has a tank slapper on the approach up the hill. Oh my goodness, it's getting worse out there, it looks like it, because the spray is coming back to the vehicles, the wipers are on, it's dark, it's nearly 10 o'clock local time on the server. I mean, the unpredictability factor, in the words of Spinal Tap, has just gone up to volume number 11 here, Steve.
Yeah, as we saw, I don't know if the viewers noticed that, but in Hedges' rearview mirror, then Passpont came very, very close to him out of the corkscrew. It was, I certainly held my breath for a split second as I saw those headlights looming, but no harm, no foul.
Oh, Haley's got the lead. Haley has got the lead from Muller. He's got it with just over. He got it just before the 15-minute mark left to go on the clock.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get a replay of that, because that must have been a Muller mistake, because on the last lap Haley only gained 1/10, so he's still over a second behind. So Muller must have made a mistake for him to have got that position off him.
Yeah, possibly on the previous lap. It can happen that you have an absolute howler one lap and you manage to get yourself recentered and recalibrated, so to speak, to get back out on the track. But now that Haley has got a lead of over 8.8 tenths of a second ahead of Muller, Charlie Croston is 14.6 seconds adrift of Muller in third place, ahead of Regan Mitchell. Richard Pixley still hanging on for fifth. Richard Emery in sixth, ahead of Tim Fulbrook now, who's up to seventh. Aaron Walker in eighth. Right, here we go. Now this is Muller in the 143. He's braking. This is into the Andretti hairpin, and he just straight lines. There is absolutely no traction out there, and Muller straight lines, and that is what gave Steve Haley the opportunity to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely, but it wasn't all done and dusted, was it? Muller, he just saw better of it there and backed off a little bit. But he sort of almost raced Steve for it. He nearly got rejoined in front of him, but not quite. But fair play to Steve. Now championship leader, is in the lead of the final race of the season as well. So he just needs to keep it there now, keep it clean, and he's going to win in style, as we see in Fulbrook just struggling to get the car turned in there as well. It's this rain is still coming down, and it's looking like the track grip is getting less and less as the race goes on.
Well, Dave Hedges is in the pits. Aaron Walker is now trying to close. I think that is on Richard Pixley, I believe. Aaron Walker is actually that is Richard Emery. Now the thing is that I thought I saw Aaron Walker's showing up in
Walker's
in what was 7th position.
He's in 8th place, closing up on Fulbrook at the moment, I believe. We'll just see him coming into the shot 1.5 seconds behind Fulbrook, so he's looking to put the pressure on Tim. And Richard Emery's having a great race, putting the pressure on Pixley. Like I said earlier, I'd love to see Pixley have a great finish tonight, but it seems like he's losing a bit of pace now to these guys, and he's falling down the field slowly but surely.
I think the Audi has been a strong car around here at Laguna Seca. I mean, you know, with the fact that the BMW, I mean, Tim Fulbrook being one of 2 BMWs, because they've got the HF Impala with AMR Racing, Angus Martin's car, in the 863 down in 17th. You know, the BMW hasn't been the car of choice. As Richard Emery goes a little bit wide towards the outside of 1011, is now a little bit further back. You've got a bit of a ding-dong battle there, and I think Aaron Walker is involved with that. And there's Tim Fulbrook up the inside of Richard Emery, through into the Andretti hairpin. Does the BMW manage to pull it onto the anchors? He does, and gets the inside line. And I think Richard Pixley, he's had an off-track moment, and now Aaron Walker's gone up the inside for 7th place.
Yeah,
Such
Pixley.
a shame for Rich Pixley.
As we were watching the battle with Fulbrook and Emery, I saw Pixley shoot off in the background. He just literally outbraked himself and ran very deep into the hairpin, which allowed Walker to go through, and he's up behind Richard Emery now. So Emery's been battling with Fulbrook, and he's going to have Walker on his tail very, very quickly, I think.
Martin Oyster. Pixley's hit the wall. The evening has gone from bad to worse, and that's put him into the pits. And I think, with just over 11 minutes remaining there, Steve, Richard Pixley's night is well and truly over, and he can get out of the car, out of the sim, and probably have a cold shower. I mean, he's been wrestling with that car all the way through the evening. With 11 minutes to go, he was still on the verge of a top 10 finish.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, it's the last round of the season. It's time to reset, and we'll be having an announcement about GT4 Season 3 at the end of this stream. So, you know, don't lose heart, boys. Reset, and we'll start all over again very, very soon.
Yes. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's just more... Now, let's have a look. We've got a replay here. Now, here is Pixley. Goes in, turns in. The car runs wide. The back end now... That's a big hit. Front end nails the barriers on the right-hand side. I'm not at all surprised with that, to be fair.
He was just chasing the Aaron Walker in the Aston there, wasn't he? And he just pushed that little Ginetta just that little bit too hard, and once he dropped those wheels into the gravel, there was literally only one outcome from that manoeuvre. But yeah, really unlucky, and like you say, Pixley deserved a good finish tonight, but it was not to be, unfortunately. As we see in Emery now, he hasn't let Fulbrook get too far ahead. He's a second up the road, but Walker's only 1.1 behind him now and closing as well. So yeah, he's going to be the meat in the sandwich very, very soon, is Richard Emery.
Yeah, so, and he's been closed in on by Aaron Walker. Fulbrook just up ahead by about a second in the BMW. So at the moment, running order with just under 9.5 minutes remaining, it is Stephen Haley from Yannick Müller and Charlie Crossland running at the top 3. Regan Mitchell, Tim Fulbrook, Richard Emery, Aaron Walker, Rich Smith, Gavin Utley, Adam Isolovic, Ollie Gill, Stim Passport, Ranjo Fauci, Mark Bradenbury, Andrew Ambro, Angus Martin. Thank you very much to Daniel Parker for just mentioning to us that his wheel disconnected and then the game crashed. That's what caused his off-track excursion. And I thought that might have been a bit uncharacteristic from Rich there, Steve.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was on the gravel coming out of that corner, so I'm guessing the wheel maybe disconnected after when he hit the wall. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, it was okay when he came through that corner following Walker by the looks of it. It's just that he dropped the wheels into the sand. Unless, of course, he's turned to page 86 of the driver's handbook of excuses. I'm not quite sure. Maybe that's where that's come from.
You probably... That was a bit of a low blow there, Steve. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, that, not me. But we still have 8 minutes and 20 seconds of this race still remaining. We're down to 17 drivers at the moment as we're on board with Aaron Walker trying to chase down Rich Emery in the 115 Audi. And there is Gavin Utley, who is now in what is, I think, effectively 10th position. But yeah, still a lot of this race still to go here, Steve.
Wide there, Fullbrook run really wide, and Emery followed him, which has allowed Walker to get almost alongside. I don't think he's quite far enough. He is alongside, and he's getting the move done. So Walker's past Emery and up behind Fullbrook. Literally, Fullbrook wide when I can speak, ran wide into the corner, and Emery followed him.
You know what? It's been it feels like Monty Python is definitely in the commentary box this evening. The spirit of John Cleese very much with us at the moment. But I digress.
Yeah, but I mean, just back to the front, Haley's doing enough. The gap is now sort of a steady 2.2 seconds. He's not doing anything silly. He's not setting the fastest laps of the race anymore. He's got the lead. He's where he wants to be. He's settled down, and he's just doing the laps as he needs to, and keeping that gap at 2.2. As we see Walker.
Walker's off of the final corner. Oh my goodness me! It is really not getting any better out there. Andrew Ambro now in the pits as well, so it looks like we're down to 16 drivers. But Aaron Walker, he definitely had one of his line lives definitely taken away from him in the number 1 Aston Martin coming out of the final corner. He literally just really ran wide there. As Utley now trying to close on Ollie Gill. Is he going to possibly get the move done up the inside through into the Andretti hairpin? It's going to be tight between the two cars. But Utley, no, I don't think he's... Well, he has. He powered out of the corner better there. He got the traction down in comparison with Ollie Gill, who's going to have the run for the next right-hander. But that was very close indeed. I think Gavin Utley had a little bit of snap-on oversteer going through that corner. Ollie Gill tries to resend it back up the inside, but Utley keeps in front for 10th. Great job there by both drivers.
Yeah, and it's looking like Charlie Crossland's been used as... Ollie Gill sends it back up the inside there, no question, but ran too deep, and Gav Utley's going to take that position straight back. So yeah, those two, that's not over by any means, that fight. But yeah, Crossland, I think, has used up another 1 or 2 of his lives, as the gap to Muller's now up to 13 seconds, so he's had some more excursions, and Regan Mitchell is now 5 seconds behind Crossland.
Yeah, it's now Aaron Walker trying to go toe-to-toe, door-to-door with Rich Emery. And the number 1 Aston Martin gets ahead for 6th place as they now break into the left-hander. It's just so difficult to sort of see what happens, especially with the fact the server's now running at nearly 10:30 in the evening. We've got just over 5 minutes of the race remaining. Aaron Walker, I mean, irrespective of where Aaron finishes, I mean, he's obviously just playing the team game because the defending champion, he will lose the number 1 after this evening's race here at Laguna Seca. But I must be completely honest, despite the fact that he hasn't been with us for every single round here, Steve, he still has put in the work rate nevertheless.
Oh yeah, Aaron, he always does. He's 110% driver. Is Aaron whenever he's attending, he's practicing, he puts the effort in. And the reason most of the time, if he's not racing, it's because he's organising something behind the scenes as one of the admin at Simsport. So yeah, he's 110% effort all the time. And let's not forget, as we've mentioned so many times, he's driving for the team championship as well, which is looking very secure in the hands of the Simply Race drivers as it stands at the moment.
Indeed it does. Just under 4.5 minutes remaining, and you can see Rich Emery on the top left-hand corner of your screen in the 115 Audi. Then we're on board with the number 38 Ollie Gill, 11th at the minute, just behind Gavin Utley, and the spray is getting even worse than what it was when we started the race just over 41 minutes ago. Nearly 41 minutes ago. Even I can't get my false teeth in properly at the moment, Steve, so we're both having trouble. It's just such a captivating race so far, as we've got just under 4 minutes to go. Ollie Gill still trying to close on Gavin Utley, and the pair are separated by just 7/10 as they're about to go through the right-hander at turn 10 or the left-hander at turn 11, which puts them onto the start-finish straight, as Steve Haley is now on his 26th lap and is 1.635 seconds ahead of the 143 Audi of Yannick Müller. And now Regan Mitchell is now in the top 3 here at Laguna Seca. So Charlie Crossland, I fear, Steve, has had a bit of a moment.
Yeah, I think Charlie's he's one of those drivers that whenever he's on track, he's always pushing 110%. So in these conditions, you've got to sort of know sometimes how to dial it back a little bit. That's not me being critical of Charlie. He just gives it everything and drives flat out, which, in the dry races, we've seen some absolutely astounding performances and some amazing lap times from Charlie. But like I say, in these conditions, maybe you just sometimes need to know how to wind it back a little bit just to keep it under a little bit more control. And that looks like it's cost Charlie a podium this evening.
Yeah, I think if Aaron Walker actually carried on typing and driving, I think he'll be very lucky if he keeps 6th place at the moment, because he's 1.1. I think someone's doing that for him.
I was going to say, I'll just say, good evening, Amy. Hope you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no multitasking for Aaron, I'm afraid, there. And James Ferguson goes, oh, brilliant one from Amy. Hi, everyone. Yeah, busted. Hi, everyone. I'm just the supportive ball and chain.
Yeah, and we, Aaron comes as a team with Amy, so yeah, great to have them both on board. She does a lot of PR for us on YouTube.
Indeed. I think it's quite funny, though, that James Ferguson went, no texting and driving, kids. Kieran Vidago, before Amy got busted once again by you, Steve, said, concentrate on the road, you madman. Well, he's got 2 minutes of concentration, and it's going to be intense concentration as Rich Smith.
Yeah, trying to go around the outside of Emery there into turn 1. That wasn't quite going to work, but it's certainly making Emery aware that he's there and putting the pressure on Emery to maybe try and put a bit more pressure on Walker.
And also the fact that Rich Smith has got that bag full of confidence, having actually won a race. I think it was race 4 of season 2, if memory serves me correctly. He was not expecting that at all. Rich is one of our stalwarts. Is the only one that races in the GT3s in a Lexus RCF, which is a car you don't really see in the current sort of GT3 encyclopedia that you'll normally have as the 24 Hours of Spa gets underway at the iconic 7-kilometre circuit this weekend as we go on board with Steve Haley. Now this, I think, is going to be the 28th and final lap, because we've only just got over 60 seconds to go, and this is how you crown yourself as a champion, by doing it in the best way possible, even though he's having to wrestle like goodness knows what behind that steering wheel. Now going into the right-hander at turn 3, it's not easy in these conditions, but Steve Haley's mastery of this has really, really kept him at the front of the field, but also kept him on towards victory here.
Yeah, and absolutely, what Steve's done this evening in this race is an absolute lesson to anyone who's, watching and learning, as it were, for the driving. He was putting in 35s and low 36s consistently. He hit the front and got a couple of seconds in the front, and his lap times dropped to sort of 36.7s, as see him run a little bit wide there. And down towards the 37s, and he just kept putting those laps in, and we've seen Muller now has dropped back. His last lap was a 38 because he's been making mistakes trying to close that gap. So Steve's just done what he's needed to do every lap. He's not pushing too hard, although he's putting a bit of opposite lock on there coming out of the corkscrew. So he's just showing us that the conditions are bad and it is still fighting it, but he's just a measured performance as ever from Steve Haley, and a thoroughly deserved championship win.
So now Steve Haley, I think, has got one more corner to negotiate round the final turn, and getting himself not just the opportunity to take the championship, he secured victory for himself at Laguna Seca. It is Steve Haley, your GT4 Season 2 Drivers' Champion, and as a result of that simply race, take the team's title. Yannick Müller and he's just binned it on the wall, has he? So that's not how he's absolutely binned it before after the line. Steve Haley, you madman, what are you doing?
It's been a little bit over
exuberant,
maybe in celebrations there, but yeah, who can knock the man? He'd pass the checkered flag, that'll do for him. It's a win. Well done, Steve. Well deserved, and it's I'm sure he'll defend Season 3 very hard.
Yes, indeed. So Yannick Müller takes second. Regan Mitchell in the 69 Mercedes takes third place. That is your top 3. Charlie Crossland in the number 67 KTM from Team Fordzilla rounds out the top 4, with Tim Fulbrook having gotten himself to 5th place at the end of it all, ahead of the now outgoing Season 1 champion of Aaron Walker. Rich Emery holds on to 7th. Rich Smith with one of the most brazen overtakes in the dying stages on Rich Emery in the 76 Porsche, takes 8th ahead of Adam Isolovic, with Ollie Geel rounding out the top 10. Gavin Utley, Steen Passpont, Ranjith Kelsey, Mark Roddenberry, Angus Martin round out the top 15 ahead of Dunn, and it looks like Ambro and Hedges will round out the 18 strong. However, they both finish 6 laps off of the leader. Here's Ranjith Kelsey. He takes the line and secures 13th. But what a job by Steve Haley, but also what a job by Yannick Müller and Regan Mitchell. That is your top 3. And Mr. Proudly, season 2 done and dusted. 6 weeks, 6 different, 6 races, 7 weeks, 6 different circuits. That was an absolute cracker, wasn't it? And well deserved. Steve Haley and Simply Race Team are season 2 champions. But this is the announcement you've been waiting for. Assetto Corsa Competizione GT4 season 3 starts November 4th at Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. And then a week later, on the 11th of November, we head to Suzuka. Then it's the Nürburgring on the 18th of November for round 3, the halfway point. Then it's the home of British Motorsport, Silverstone, the 25th. Then it's Spa-Francorchamps, and rounding out the season 3 calendar on the 9th of December is Brands Hatch. What's more, it is going to be a top 15 reverse grid. So, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but we will have an initial qualifying session for the first round at Monza, and then after that, it's top 15 reverse grids all the way, isn't it?
Yeah, so as you say, qualifying session for Monza, then top 15 reverse grid based on the reverse finishing results of the previous round, and if you're not in the top 15, you'll start on the grid where you finish the last race. So it should just make it a little bit more interesting. It gives the midfield something to fight for, so if you're in 16th, 17th, 18th or 19th, you've got your eye on that 15th position because it gives you an opportunity to start on pole position. So it might just spice it up a little bit more, and it's just Simsport being progressive again from where we are now. So yeah, it should be exciting. As the just to mention the contributors, the guys who donate to Simsport to keep the community running, those are the guys that have chosen the tracks as well for this championship. So it's community-based, community choices on the tracks. So you can't hold the admins responsible when the drivers say they don't like the tracks.
Very, very true. And apparently sign-ups will hopefully be live for this weekend. So without further ado, I'm now going to head down to the interview booth because it looks like I've got some people to speak to. I'll be back with you in just a moment so we can close things off. As always, Steve.
No problem. I think I'm going to come down there with you, I think.
Right, well, first things first. So congratulations, Yannick Müller, a second place finish. Despite having taken the lead, and I know that Steve got past you, Yannick, but still to get a second place at the end of the season must have been a good feeling here, despite the wet weather conditions, the darkness coming in rather rapidly. You must be pretty happy with that.
Oh, yeah, I am. Race went quite okay, but didn't hold it together, so Steven could catch me, even though the pace was quite similar, but yeah.
Yeah, so... I think at the end of the day, it's been a pleasure. I know you jumped on board sort of halfway through the season, approximately, but the Audi's been pretty quick in GT4. Is that a car that suits your driving style?
Not at all, actually. I pretty much rushed through the GT4 pack and to see which car is nice to drive in the season, and then went for the Audi since I'm an Audi fan. But yeah, didn't work out too well. Wasn't too happy with the car. Feels some weird in some situations, so if I had more time testing before the midway point where I got into the season, I would have taken something different, I guess.
Well, hopefully, Yannick, we'll see you back for season 3.
Sure.
Brilliant. Well done. Congratulations tonight, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
I will. You too.
Right, okay, let's see if we can speak to one of our other drivers, and it looks like we've got our third place driver, Regan Mitchell, in number 69 Mercedes. Regan, congratulations on a third place finish for the season finale here. Obviously, good to see you in something different apart from you were the only one in season 1 to go for the Maserati. but to change to the Mercedes was a bit of an inspired choice, but it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows in Season 2, has it, for you?
No, I don't think I've been very lucky. Even turn 1 this race, I ended up at the back. So I wasn't expecting a podium at all, but I did manage to pull it back, which is very good.
And obviously now we've got the announcement that Season 3 is you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, I'm looking forward. There can only be one car choice really for that. Mm-hmm. It's going to have to be Maserati again.
Oh, shots fired across the bow there, Mr. Proudly, I believe.
Yeah, fantastic. It'll be great to see Regan back out in the Maserati, the only man brave enough yet to take on that challenge. And it has to be said, Regan, in Season 1 you put on a good performance with it, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And to be fair, the tracks that are in Season 3 will maybe favour the Maserati a bit.
I hope so. I haven't actually seen them yet. I was going to take it regardless.
Yeah, we're looking at some very long geared tracks, Monza, Suzuka, Silverstone, I think Spa's on there as well. I'm not quite sure now off the top of my head, but yeah, there's some very sort of fast tracks and not too tight and twisty stuff, which we know the Maserati can be a little bit of a handful getting the power down out of the corners, can't it?
Love it.
Well, Regan, congratulations and well done this evening.
Thank you.
Right, okay, let's get him in here. Let's get the man himself, the man of the hour. Steve Haley, congratulations, GT4 Season 2 champion, and what's more, Simply Race take the team's title. Congratulations, buddy. What a drive, despite the weather was trying to throw a spanner in everyone's race this evening.
Good evening, Alex. Yeah, to be fair, I really love wet weather. And I think it just throws another kind of something into the mix. But yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. I was trying to figure out. I've just been chatting to Tim there in the green room, trying to figure out where he was and where Aaron was, and see where that put us in the points for the team championship. So you've just answered that question. So I'm very, very happy. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, Tim at the end of the day finished, I think, in 5th position, but it wasn't easy out there. We started as the sun, it was very dark and grey. There was rain. It got worse as the night drew in, and obviously when you're having to battle around such an iconic circuit like this at Laguna Seca, you've got wet weather. The spray is absolutely coming like nobody's business, and you've just got to really keep it on the black stuff. And I did notice there were a couple of moments. I think you were coming out of turn 4, and the back end sort of stepped out. A little touch on the gravel, and I was just like thinking, please don't lose it. Please don't lose the back end of that car, Steve.
You weren't the only one thinking that, to be fair. Yeah, it was a bit hairy. The circuit, wet weather in the daytime with the light is not too bad. But if you couple that with kind of night time, and then obviously you've got the spray coming off the back of the other cars, it can make visibility very, very, very difficult to see what's going on. The turn 4 was a bit of a bogey corner for me tonight. To be fair, I did it if I didn't kind of spin up on the curb, I actually went over onto the gravel, but luckily managed to keep it pointing in the right direction. Yep, it was all good. I think all good. Had to up the traction control after that point, and try to keep all of it, keep on the black stuff, as you said.
Yeah, it was really good to see some of the opposite lock, and it looked like you were driving a pretty much a measured race though, Steve. I was sort of saying to Alex and to the viewers as they were watching, you were really putting those lap times in, and it looked like you definitely wanted that top step. But once you got in the lead, it sort of almost like it just eases off that little bit. You knew what you needed to do, really, didn't you? And you did it very well. Although when we were on board with you, as I say, there was quite a bit of opposite lock through some of the corners, which was interesting to say the least.
I think obviously once I got kind of towards the front end of the grid and I realised Daniel weren't that close behind, at the end of the day I had to make sure that I kind of came in front of Daniel basically, and once I'd realised that Daniel were no longer there, unfortunately, I mean it would have been a better fight if we'd have been kind of if we'd have been fighting and Daniel would have finished. I would have preferred it that way personally, but once I was in the lead, and I think Yannick was got past Yannick, and tended to enjoy myself a little bit. But not too much though, because obviously you showboat too much and you get bitten, and you could lose a lot of places.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And just all that's left to say, really, mate, is well done, and bring on season 3, because I'm sure you're going to defend the title every bit as hard as you fought to win it this season, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. I think Aaron and I will be going ahead, and hopefully we'll be re-signing for Simply Race. And taking them to another second consecutive constructors championship with a bit of luck, if they'll have us, that is. So we'll see how the talks pan out.
and just one last question based on season 3. Then, any idea what car you'll be defending in?
I think Aaron and I we have spoke together, and I think the car of choice may shock some people. I think I know
Maserati.
It won't be a Porsche. it won't be a Porsche, and it won't be an Aston. And I've done a race in the Maserati, and I don't fancy that, to be fair. So definitely not the Maserati. So there's a few more to get at.
I was going to say you've been pretty guarded, and I think I could have an educated guess, but I'm not going to spoil the surprise for everybody else out there. So we'll wait to see what you start practicing and what you turn up to round 1 in. So thank you very much, Steve, and well done, buddy.
No, thank you very much, and thank you to the guys and everybody who took part in the Season 2 Championship. It's been an absolutely wonderful championship to take part in, and the guys are fantastic. And congrats to everybody.
But if you just want to stay there, mate, I think Tim Fulbrook wants to come in for a chat. So obviously,
yes.
HF Impala will bring Tim up in the runners-up spot for the team championship.
No worries, mate.
Good evening, Tim.
Good evening.
You battled alone this evening, as we knew you would do. You battled hard, mate, and you had a difficult start to the race, but credit to you, as always, you HF Impala boys, you never give up the fight, do you? And you had a respectable finish in the end.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, first of all, congratulations to Stephen and to the Simply Race boys for what's been a really good season. I think 5th place is probably not enough to help the team's championships when Stephen's doing a fantastic job winning. So it was really tough one. Had a difficult start. Obviously, turn 1 is an unknown in the dry anyway, let alone when it's pouring down with rain. But yeah, got into 2-1 and was feeling okay, and just had that incident with Regan in front. The right thing to do obviously is stop and let him go. So then it was just a challenge of how far up through the grid could I get, and to finish with P5, really, I'm pretty chuffed with that.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic drive, and unfortunately for yourself, great performance from the team HF Impala this season, and to bring it home in 2nd place in your first season in the BMWs, it's no mean feat, because the BMW isn't the car of choice for a lot of drivers. So to bring it home with some consistent results, and still be battling at the last round for their possible championship win in the teams, it says a lot about you guys. It's you deserve a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, when we started the season, we set a goal which was P2 in the teams, and we were like, that's a challenge, that's something we've really got to go out and achieve. That's not just going to come our way, and to get that and to tick that box and say we did that, I'm really pleased with. I know Mike's would have been gutted to miss this final race, but really pleased with how that turned out. And as always, it's been fantastic racing in this series. I mean, great job from everyone at Simsport to organise, which is such a fun and competitive championship. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's great to hear, mate. And I mean, I asked Steve just before you came in the room, can you give us any clues as to what HF Impala will be driving next season? Obviously, we've just announced season 3 will be starting in 2 weeks' time, so what would you like to turn up on the grid in for that?
Well, I can tell you one thing, it probably won't be the BMW, but we're going to be testing, I think, pretty much everything. I don't think anything's off the cards at the moment. I've heard a lot of people are trying as many cars as they can get their hands on, so no set decision yet, but I'm sure we'll settle on something in the next week, or if not, we'll just panic choose something and hope we can stick with it.
No, well, unless Alex has got anything to add, buddy, I just want to say well done to you, and over to Alex.
Yeah, Tim, it's been a pleasure seeing you and Michael progress in season 2. Obviously, you guys running in the Genesis for the first season. It's a shame that Michael couldn't be here with us this evening, but what a performance by you both. So, yeah, I mean, just hats off to you guys, and I'm really, really looking forward to you two bringing the fight to Simply Race next season for season 3, buddy. I can't wait. I bet you can't either.
No, I'm really excited. Honestly, I speak on behalf of Mike when I say, we're really happy to be involved in this and to be taking part. And yeah, I mean, season 1 was a learning curve. We're still very new to ACC as a platform and as a sim, and we're still very fresh compared to some of the guys here. So every race we learn something. And also I'd like to give a shout out to Angus, our teammate, kind of our satellite HF Impala car. I mean, we wouldn't be here without him. He told us to get on board with this. So congrats to him for what's been a brilliant season for him as well.
Definitely. I think in some respects for those, you said satellite team, so I'm going to use a current 2020 DTM reference. If Tim and Michael are the works team from Munich, then obviously Angus is like the ART version with Robert Kubica behind the wheel. In some respects, with Robert actually just getting his first ever maiden podium the recent round at Zolder. So congratulations to Kubica. From what I understand, was an absolutely crazy race. I haven't had a chance to catch up on DTM, but no, well done, Tim. Congratulations. I know you guys have hit your goal, but I want you guys back for season 3 and to really, really kick it up another gear, mate. I can't wait for it. Well done tonight.
Me too. Thank you. Yeah, very excited for season 3, and watch out for Simply Race.
Shots fired, sir. Shots fired.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys, and well done to you all. And thanks for driving and taking part and entertaining us for the whole season, guys. You know, it wouldn't be what it is without you guys on the grid. So thank you very much.
Cheers, fellas. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, that is it. Firstly, we have to say a big thank you to Mark Reddenbury and Positive Perception for sponsoring this 6th and final round of Season 2 GT4. Steve, it's been a blast, but, you know, a couple of weeks away, we start Season 3. You know, it's ever looking... There's so much more anticipation, and it's such a pleasure to be a part of this this community here at Simsport Racing. 2 seasons of GT4, Season 3 for GT3, actually, before we forget. Season finale is this coming Sunday, 7 p.m, the 2-hour finale at the Castellet. And Archie Clifford-Roberts and James Hartnell are entrenched in a battle that could go right up until the checkered flag, and that's going to be rather exciting. But Steve, it's been a pleasure of seeing these GT4s in action once again for Season 2, hasn't it?
Yeah, they never fail to disappoint, do they? It's absolutely fantastic racing from the drivers, and it's a class. The GT4s, they just seem to promote close racing. Yes, there's contact. Yes, there's been a few offs, but I mean the conditions this evening were absolutely diabolical in the dark, in the wet. You know, it wasn't bad driving. It was just low traction and torrential rain. So you know, absolutely fantastic driving from the guys. Brilliant racing and very, very competitive for both team and drivers' championships to come down to the last round. Could go either way. I mean, that speaks volumes for the championship. In Season 3, I'm hoping the Drivers' Championship will go down to the last round, but may have 3 or 4 drivers fighting for it. Same for the Team Championships. You know, I think this series promotes itself. So anyone that's watching, anyone that wants to get involved, www.simsport-racing.com. Look for our Discord link, jump in there. The sign-up will be live this weekend. Even if you just jump in to have a go on the servers and just practice and see how you fare, you know, you don't have to commit to signing up. You can just have a practice and see if you can pick up some tips from the boys, and who knows, next season you could be on the grid racing with these guys.
Definitely. So come on, and we will welcome you here to Simsport Racing with open arms, the place to race. What a fantastic Season 2 for GT4. A new champion in the form of Steve Haley, our inaugural team champions through Simply Race Racing Team, with Steve Haley and Aaron Walker taking all the glory here at Laguna Seca. So we're going to now sign off. That is it from myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Steve Proudly, your official commentators here at Simsport Racing. And before we go, we'd like to leave you with a little message courtesy of the sponsor of this round, Positive Perception. Thank you very much for watching, and above all, stay safe and take care. Have a good evening.
Want awesome products? Want customization? Give Positive Perception a shout. Towels, beanies, snoods and more, anything's possible. Everything's custom. Stand out, be different, get yours.